Welcome to Soltron. Today I want to show off my Carbot X mods that I've been working on. So here's a good 360 view of him. So you can see one thing I did was I lowered his backpack so that it's more in the middle of his back instead of behind his head. I gave him an LED for his sword and an LED for his chest. And I gave his wings ball joints. That's about it. I didn't do anything with his lower body or even really his shoulders, arms. I didn't actually mod too much on this guy. I had some restraint. Alright, so here he is in like a neutral pose, and I think you'll agree that he looks a little bit more dynamic. And then let's just talk about his LEDs first. So he's got this chest LED, which is a blue light. I went back and forth on giving him a clear light. Maybe I should have gone clear, but then it makes his chest look more white when the plastic is more of this like light blue. And then I did put a switch right here. So you can just click that switch and that will turn his chest off. Okay, and then for some reason it's not turning back on, so that's annoying. Oh, there it goes. And then it's just a toggle switch, so one click turns it on, one click turns it off, so it's very simple. And then I put like a little bit of plastic here just to diffuse the light a little bit to make it look more spread out. And then when it's turned off, you can see it's got that light blue, that pale blue kind of color in his chest, and you can see the Carbot details. And then his sword was a little bit more of a mess and is kind of pointless. It's kind of cool. You can see the reflection of the sword on my arm here. So it does cast a blue light, which is pretty cool. But all I have to do is turn it over and you can see all the guts of the mechanism. So you can see the LED here, the battery is here, and then the push button is right here. You just push that on. So it's pretty pleasant. It's very easy. Of course, I'm going to paint all this black just to make it stick out a little bit less, maybe even silver. Maybe I'll just leave it black. But very easy design, very simple circuit to make that LED. And I'll probably do a guide on how to make those kinds of custom LEDs. But anyway, so his wings, if I can actually put him back in like his default mode. Looks kind of like this with the wings swept back a little bit. And then you can see this is where his wings used to be, way up here. Now they're way down here. So I can actually angle these back up. And this is basically where it was for his out of the box mode. His wings basically look like this. So they're way up here. I still think he looks cool, but it annoyed me that his wings could only be stretched out straight, that they didn't have this like kind of cool V shape, and then his wings could fold back a little bit. But now with these ball joints, they can basically fold in all directions. I can lower his backpack back to his new area, and these wings can actually fold down too. So we could just have him like in basically a rest mode, where it just looks like he's got these kind of like cape effect, and he just looks like he's going about his daily business. And you can see it's got a huge amount of kibble on the back. The other cool thing about these wings, I guess one cool thing is you can have the red parts face forward if you wanted to, which I think looks pretty good. You get some more of that red effect in there instead of having his colors all spread out. You can see what I did was there's a ball joint here with another ball joint here. So double ball joints, and that's just so you can get the backpack back in its transformation position. So it doesn't affect his transformation at all. He can still transform fully. But I can actually pull off this whole backpack section. All right, so there's his back, and I can just flip over the whole thing to give him kind of a couple of other different looks. So it's kind of a hassle to peg these back in place because the ball joints have they're a little fiddly. And then now with his red wings, they're the correct way up. So I think that by itself actually looks pretty cool. I really do enjoy this red wing look, even though it's just the side of a car. And then he can also do this cool thing where now these wings can be folded all the way down. so they can like fold up more cleanly for that cape look. Or I guess you could rotate them around. And then they can overlap on each other to be even cleaner. So more like a beetle kind of look. But yeah, that's basically everything that's enabled from having this new transformation. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. All right, so all that's left to do is basically transform this guy. So we can go ahead and straighten out his shoulders. We want to leave his elbow pads facing the car mode. We could just sandwich his legs together. And get this whole chunk back into its car mode area way back here. Oh yeah, and I should start working on his backpack. So using these extra ball joints, you just orient his backpack where it needs to go. And then you can see his head still fits into place very nicely. And then basically these windshield pieces line up. And then we just use these double joint ball joints to get these panels in place. And then we just get this huge chunk of car where it needs to go and just peg that onto the back of his hips like usual. And you can see the push button is still in place, but it's got enough clearance that it doesn't get in the way. And then you just basically, what am I doing wrong? Oh, his fists are kind of facing the wrong way. Okay, so then we just clip that into there, and that just gets everything in place. And then you do the same on the other side. So this actually doesn't make his transformation any more difficult. It's maybe got like one extra step of transforming technically, but you can still get his car mode. Oops. There we go. Everything's squeezed together nice and clean. So there you go. There's his car mode. And then I did have to trim out these little sections of back window just to give his backpack some articulation, but I don't think that hurts anything. And then this is kind of ugly back here. I might cover that with plastic or some paint. I don't know how I'm going to address that right now, but you can see everything's in there. Try not to touch his gold paint. But yeah, oh yeah, and then you got to put his sword back on his shin. I think it'll go that way. It looks like that push button might interfere with the clearance, so we might have to peg it in the other way, or yeah, it kind of that push button does kind of get in the way, so he is going to be dragging this button assembly right here instead of driving on his front wheel, but you can see it's barely noticeable. But yeah, there you can see the clearance issue right there, as you can see that button. But yeah, so that was a pretty fun mod to do. Pretty simple, straightforward, didn't take too much work at all. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one.